All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Aloha, this is Jeremy, Mindful Life 808, and today we're going to move along in the Transcendence theme practices. Today's practice is called Turn Back. It's kind of in the same vein as the self-inquiry practices you may have heard about or tried up till now. I apologize, I haven't put out a lot of videos lately, but really hoping to wrap up this Transcendence theme. There are a couple more videos, see, hear, feel now, and expansion contraction themed practices that we'll be doing in this Transcendence series, but it's probably going to be a couple months before we do those. I'm going to put those on the back burner for now. We got a lot coming up here in the next month. So we're going to wrap up the Transcendence theme for now with this self-inquiry practice called Turn Back. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the other side. All right, let's get started. Wherever you're at, I invite you to stretch up and settle in to your meditation posture for this practice today. As usual, it's always best if you can sit upright and to stay alert and awake throughout the process, but you got to do what's best for you. So whatever posture works best for you, let's get started. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath or two just to get settled in at your own pace. Eyes open or closed, it's up to you. If you can hear some breathing in the background here, it's just my dog Boo. She decided to join me in the office today. So you can just include that as part of your practice or ignore it as needed. So what we're going to do today is called the turn back technique. So it's kind of like a self-inquiry techniques. We're going to go through the see, hear, feel, spaciousness categories, exploring their orientation and then inquiring as to where the observer is relative to the sensory experience. So let's go ahead and just get started working with see spaciousness. If you're familiar with the technique from the previous videos, we can start with our eyes open, and we're just going to relax and kind of take in everything in front of us as much as we can of that kind of 180-degree view that we can have in front of us before our vision runs out in the periphery and disappears behind us. Maybe hard because there's a natural tendency of the eyes to try and focus on all sorts of different things. And that's fine as they focusing on this or that. And every time it does, we just kind of rest and relax, exhale if you need to, and just try and open the aperture, take in the whole field of vision as best you can. May not feel 100% natural, so you just rest and relax into it as best as you can and do your best. It's okay if you find yourself focusing on a thing here or there. But we're doing our best to just kind of almost defocus and take in the whole visual field. And as we noted in the orientation of sensory experience, exercise, there's a sense that there's a experience and an experiencer, or like an observer. In this case, it's the perspective of the viewer viewing the scene before them. And for this practice, we want to do our best to turn back our attention, turn it inward on the observer. So we have this big visual field, vast field in front of us, oriented in such a way because of the design of our visual organs, eyes, letting the light in, creating a signal, sending it back to our brain, and painting the picture in front of us. And it may be confusing or challenging or seem impossible. Or you may have direct experience of. But I will just be quiet for a few moments while you experiment on how you can turn your attention back on to that which is seen. Can you be aware of it? Turn your attention towards it. And whatever else comes up, we just let it come and go to the best of our ability and return our attention to this spacious visual field in front of us, kind of opening up the entire aperture to all that spaciousness, understanding the orientation is just relative to the design of our eye and the way that it collects light, creates a signal, sends it into our mind to generate the experience before us. For today, we're trying to turn that attention itself back on to itself. This involves a lot of guesswork. It's okay to experiment with different ways of considering how all the while trying to turn back attention onto the awareness itself. And to keep things moving along, we're going to try and do that same exercise, but now with our eyes closed. So if you're comfortable with it at this time, I invite you to close your eyes. Otherwise, maybe defocus and lower your eyelids as much as possible. But if you can, just close your eyes and turn your attention towards that inner visual field. However it shows up for you, whether it's like a screen in front of you, in the center of your mind, maybe the back of your mind, maybe it's 360. However it shows up for you, this exhale and just kind of relax into the entire inner visual field, opening up to the spacious qualities of what we see in there. Maybe at first just kind of looking all around here and there, and then just trying to relax into the whole scene. When you've gotten kind of expanded out into the spatial qualities of that inner scene, let's try that same exercise of turning back, turning attention on itself. Again, this may require some guesswork, some experimenting, different ways to try and turn attention back on itself to see what's there, who's there, the space where the observer would be. Just look around. You have this vast visual field, seems to be spread all around, some kind of orientation. Turning back on that orientation, what do we observe? If some inner dialogue comes in, questioning yourself, your process, your results, you just let it go and return back to the inner exploration of sea spaciousness. And then turn back. And that's it. You're doing a good job. So let's transition now to hearing, outer hearing. So what we hear around us. And we're going to try to practice the hear spaciousness technique, where we open up to the space all around us within which the different noises arising, coming, and going are located here and there and everywhere. But we're not attaching to any particular noise as it comes and goes, but holding or relaxing into the space that we know is around us, that the hearing comes and goes within. Maybe noting the orientation of the sensory experience relative to the ears. And how that creates our experience. There's always going to be distractions, but noises or thoughts or visions or feelings that arise, we just let them come and go and train our attention on the here spaciousness. And then we want to inquire as to where the observer is in the here spaciousness sensory category. as there's all these noises here and there and over there and over here. And the experience of those is relative to the orientation of your ears and the signal coming in, converting to something that your mind can use to help create the scene, which is oriented relative to the orientation of your ears, just like the visual field was only relative to the orientation of the eyes. And we can transition to the internal here at this time. Here, spaciousness internally itself may have some guesswork. It may just be a space within which we listen for the inner dialogue. Sometimes when we turn our attention there, it goes quiet, or maybe not. Either way, our focus here is just the space within we would be listening to hear our inner dialogue. Whether there's a dialogue or not is not important, but we're relaxing into the field of inner here and listening intently to the space within which our inner thoughts arise. Maybe note, is there an orientation to it? Is it fixed? Can it change? Is it amorphous? Or is it always the same? Where we're receiving that signal, the inner dialogue. Maybe some guesswork or challenge around noticing if there is even one specific spot. But we're going to turn back on that and turn towards it with our attention and try and inquire as to what is there at that point of orientation. Now I invite you to let go of that and let's transition to feel. We work with feel spaciousness. We can combine the emotional and physical feel aspects of the feel sensory category and just kind of relax into the entire body, the space within which emotions arise within the body, borders of the body itself, and the space around the body. And maybe just a nice deep exhale as we zoom out our attention to take in this spacious quality of our expanded attention over the entire body and the borders of our body and the space around us. And just relaxing into that spatial quality, noting the orientation of it is relative to many points along the body that sense the whole nervous system that sense this million different points, all subtly sensing the space around us within which experience arises. And then we consider that orientation of that felt sensory experience relative to our nerves, our nervous system in this case. Our nervous system detects and feels all this around us and is always sending signals to the mind, creating the landscape which we feel, our body, our space, our felt presence. It's the orientation of our nervous system is the genesis or the point of reference for the observer. And then we try and turn our attention back on that observer. Turn back towards the source. Again, this may be some guesswork, some trial and error. You may have questions. Just keep trying. We're inquiring to the source, turning back on the observer, noting the observer's orientation relative to the sensory organs, having the experience. and shining the light of awareness back on itself to the best of your ability, or making that effort to see what we find. Whether you've enjoyed the exploration of the seeing, the hearing, or the feeling, this practice is just relaxing out into the spacious qualities of any of the one, two, or three experiences, and then gently turning back to see if we can inquire to establish or see or find or feel, hear, turn it all back on itself and see what we find. I'm going to wrap this practice up now, but I encourage you to come back and listen to this, or on your own time, do this same exploration for extended periods of time in each separate sensory category. And it'll be interesting to see what you find. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the practice now. You can open your eyes. Thank you for joining me for the turn back method. I hope it served you well. Like I said multiple times throughout, it's a lot of guesswork, trial and error. If you like, come back, explore it, try it a few times until you start finding some answers or creating more questions. Either way, that's that deep work, right? Really getting down to the heart of this self-inquiry. So thanks again for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you again. Take care. All right, aloha. Hey, just wrapped up the turn back method. And we just want to drop a little note for those of you who made it all the way through the video. Good on you. I know you're probably doing some deep work. You might be coming up with a lot of questions or finding your own answers and solutions. I do want to advise, if you get to this point in your meditation career, it's kind of the deep end of the pool. So make sure you have support around you and you're doing and practicing self-care, taking care of yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, with your family. A lot of people have therapists, see therapists, have counsel, have meditation coaches they work with, I'm always happy to help. You can reach out to me via my email, which is on the YouTube website, or just comment on the video if you like. And I'll do my best to help you through this kind of deep end of the pool if I can. So I appreciate you, and good luck on your journey. All right. Aloha. Mahalo.